Welcome into the Orange Crush podcast. Rachel Veal, Cody Roark. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that the Broncos had a less than 1% chance to win the game on Sunday against the Giants and pulled it off a fourth quarter mile high magic comeback. I truthfully, like, when I try and go through my all these plays in my head, I'm like, which one really like stands out? And there's so many because of how crazy it was, Cody. I can't believe it, if I'm being honest with you.
I mean, it was wild, Rachel. I mean, like I said, when they were down 19-0 in the fourth quarter, I was like, I mean, they could. It's unlikely. I mean, the offense couldn't do anything for three quarters of the game, and then when the tip pass on defense landed into the hand of the tight end for a touchdown, I was like, all right, that's it. That's likely the
Seal
ball
the
game.
deal.
That's likely the dagger in this game, and somehow they still came back. I've never seen anything like it, Rachel. Improbable, unlikely, impossible. I said it yesterday. I said the Broncos snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, really, in this
Yeah.
game. And I mean, I know you had to go do the post game show afterwards. When did you have to leave the stadium essentially?
So what's so funny is I left earlier than I typically do. I was like, you
Yeah.
know what? Like, we've been really seeing a lot of stuff happen in like the second half. Like, I'll leave. I left, I think, with like 5 minutes left to go in the second quarter. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll just leave then, like get home, be able to watch the entire second half. Thank goodness I did. Oh my gosh, I couldn't have imagined if I would have left at halftime. I wouldn't have gotten home until closer into the fourth. Like, I would have missed so much. Well, and two, that feeling in the third quarter of like nothing is going right for this team. Like, they're continuing to struggle. It was just so frustrating. I think allowing us to be able to have that third quarter to react and then truthfully witnessing one of the craziest games I've ever experienced, having it all kind of go into one half was nice, but still, it's so frustrating. But before we dive into like X's and O's and all that kind of stuff, we just have to talk about the fact that truthfully there was some DT Mile High magic. The fact that they had
Yeah.
two 8 point touchdowns, right? 88. And the fact that the final score was 33, which is the unfortunate age that Demarius Thomas passed away. I'm seeing all of these people put these things out on social media, and I'm like, oh my, like it. I don't know. I get chills thinking about it. I literally have chills on my arms right now.
It really was mile high magic. I mean, for Denver to be down like that, of course, you got to get a 2 point. It's hard to get 2 point conversions as well in today's NFL. I mean, especially
Yeah.
with how we saw the offense struggle. So to be able to, score a touchdown, get 2 points, there's your first eight. Get another touchdown, score 2 points. There's your second eight, 88 for DT. 33 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, it's unheard of, Rachel. It was one of the most improbable comebacks that we've seen in NFL history. And just sitting there in the game, like after the tight end for the Giants caught that one crazy touchdown, fans got up all throughout the stadium. Broncos fans got up and they exited, and Giants fans were just cheering and going crazy. And I was just sitting there. I was like, man, this is just a rough game. Some days you have it, some days you don't. And then when they got that first touchdown, I was like, all right, a little bit of life. Then they got the second one. I was like, Then I started thinking to myself, man, that decision not to go for the field goal in the second quarter could loom largely in this game for the Broncos. Could have, right? And then they all of a sudden it's 23-26. The Broncos, after Justin Sternad gets the interception, it's like, oh, okay. What's gonna happen here? And then Bo runs it in himself. I mean, his fourth overall touchdown in the fourth quarter, which also Bo became the first player in NFL history to have four touchdowns in the quarter, two rushing, two passing. It was incredible to see him kind of do that. There was some Tim Tebow vibes in terms of just like the run off the left side to win the
Yeah.
game. The stadium, Rachel, even though all these fans left, I've never heard it that loud at Empower Field. The stadium was shaking. The windows in the press box, my water bottle next to me was, it was nuts.
Oh, okay. So were you in the industry then for the Tebow to Demarius against the Steelers?
No,
Okay.
I was in high school.
Okay, okay. So I've been wanting to ask somebody like who was there for that game and how did it compare? Cuz like that's my big question, right? Just because that game was also just so insane and I'll never forget watching that play go down. But this game just as a whole, I've been frustrated with one. Okay, two things I've been frustrated with. One, the amount of smack talk that Bronco fans are talking. I'm like, we all need to take a step back real quick and realize how close this game was to not ending the way we all wanted it to. So, like, be courteous, be generous. Like, people are pissed. That would be heartbreaking. If that happened on the other side of things, I can't imagine how hard it would be for Bronco fans to digest that. So that's just my little PSA. Like, be nice, be courteous, be generous. Like, you don't have to go talk smack because you almost lost that game at the exact same time. But two is, yes, we all want to talk positive because we still can't believe it. But there is so much, and I feel like Sean
Mhm.
Payton actually mentioned, like, we'll enjoy the win tonight, but tomorrow, now Monday or Tuesday, like, we have to absolutely dive in because there's a lot that needs to be fixed. And I feel like nobody is talking about the fact that for 3 quarters of football, it was terrible football. Honestly, on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. Bo Nix, Sean Payton, the defense. I mean, they had issues. You know, the defense had communication issues, some breakdowns, some busted plays.
Yup.
You know, but they've been carrying the water for this team for a large portion of the season. You know, and at some point, you know, when you're carrying the water, those buckets will tend to overflow at times. And it wasn't the defense's best performance. And hats off the Giants. They played their butts off. They did a fantastic job. Jackson Dart made some tough throws, took some shots. I mean, he hung in there. He's a tough kid. They got some good energy there from Dart, and I think they're in a good position with him going forward here. My biggest issue here, look, and we talked about, yes, the fourth quarter point explosion there is huge. We saw Bo Nix go crazy here. There are valid concerns and valid criticisms I think that we should definitely have about, you know, Bo struggled,
Yep.
Sean struggled. And when both of those guys' struggles kind of compound, it is the most negative snowball effect here for this Broncos offense. And look, I think Sean is the play caller has to help his quarterback out. And when you get into a situation, if you're Bo, you have to trust your mechanics at times where it simply didn't seem like that. You know, they opened up this game, Rachel, throwing it 3 straight times. Like there was no emphasis early on to try to commit to getting the run game going.
Yeah.
They had 8 drives before the comeback, 6 punts, 1 turnover on downs, and then we're going to walk off going to halftime with our heads held low, getting booed off the stage there.
Yeah.
That was abysmal offense. They ran 34 offensive plays and only had 102 net yards of offense at halftime. No effort on the run game. 12 total carries combined between RJ Harvey and JK Dobbins. RJ had 4, JK had 7, and JK had the 18 yards. RJ had 0 at that standpoint. Like there just wasn't this flow and this rhythm here. And it's frustrating. And Rachel, in the conference call, we've been telling people this for a long time, right? But Broncos fans finally wanted someone to ask. Like we knew the answer to this. Sean Payton was asked whether or not he'd relinquish play calling, and he said, we're fine. Like, we're very comfortable as an offensive staff with where we're at.
Yep.
That's Sean being stubborn. Sean is never going to relinquish play calling. He has ego, and he's earned the right to have ego. He's one of the top 25 winningest coaches of all time. But Sean, as we have said, Sean is also a big part of the problems of this Broncos offense and Bo's mechanics and everything else. Like when Bo's not in rhythm, things are bad here for this team.
It's the mesh, right? Of I feel like the fourth quarter is where we saw. I don't know if you remember, well, or to the fans remembering. I know you do, Cody. But to everybody, Bo had talked about dotting certain plays that he feels super comfortable with, and he had talked
Mm-hmm.
about that. It's how they do it when they come up with the game script. Essentially, what we saw is those plays being played in the fourth quarter, but yet Sean wanting, the script he writes and the plays he writes, but clearly Bo doesn't seem super comfortable with them. But even just certain energy movements, I felt like were a little off yesterday. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't as intense, even on both sides of the ball. I felt like the energy just wasn't there 100%. And you got to give it to them. They never gave up. I would have looked at that scoreboard and said, all right, boys, well, on to next week, on to the Cowboys, which, by the way, we got to get into a little bit of the Cowboys. It's going to be interesting. But I just felt like the fourth quarter was really the place where it was like, okay, Bo feels really good in these plays. And the rest of the time, it's like we're playing this mind game again of like, let's come up with the craziest plays we can a little bit to really get things going. And it's just not working. Like we just need to roll with, have the identity be with what Bo is comfortable with. He's still your two QB. Like let's not expect him to be some Super Bowl champion quarterback. Let's not expect him to be Patrick Mahomes out there. So just go with the things that he's super comfortable with. Add in a few new plays every single week that he gets more comfortable with. And I feel like we would see a better product on the field for all 4 quarters. But instead, we're trying to reinvent the wheel sometimes, I feel like, with these play calls and the personnel groupings and everything. Sean mentioned on Monday during his press conference or his Zoom conference call, essentially saying, like, we have to look at the who before we look at the scheme of things. And that just tells me like Sean is stuck in how he's designed these plays, but who can actually allow these plays to be successful? That's what they're going to look at first instead of the play calls. And so I have mixed feelings about that.
Yeah, and look, here's the thing though. It's like defenses don't respect the Broncos offense, and they're certainly playing them that way. I mean, we're
Do
seeing
you respect the
both
Broncos
throw.
offense? I don't.
No, I mean, and not until you do some things that like challenge you. Like, you know, it's like, why does J.K. Dobbins have to get going in the third quarter? Like, why can't you try to get him going early on? Like, why can't you design some things? And I understand, like, the other team is paid to execute and play football as well. But what is frustrating here, and how I'm looking at it when watching the game tape, that any defense, the Jets this last week, the Eagles the week before, and now the Giants this week, their game plan was, we're going to take away, we're going to drop 7 defenders back into coverage, we're going to rush 4, and we want you to throw it short. We're going to take away the deep stuff. We want you to throw the football short because we trust that our linebackers, our safeties, our pursuit from the backside, they're all going to get there. And they believe at times that they can defeat blocks. So we're seeing Sean Payton call swing pass after swing pass after swing pass. And I was like, if I see another swing pass, I'm going to have to start drinking at this point.
I'm just going to go to sleep.
It is so easy to telegraph what the Broncos are doing here. And Rachel, this is where my frustration comes in with Sean. And look, obviously Bo has to play better. Bo is getting a lot of passes batted down at the line of scrimmage, right? Because they don't have most of the throws are either there. So anytime Bo's trying to look to throw to the middle, defenders, while they're working their pass rush, they're just keying him and they're timing it and getting their hands up perfectly. In order to erase that element from your game, you have to be more efficient on the outside, near the numbers, near the hashes, and then the other stuff's going to come in. If you have an effective run game and you can set up play action stuff off of that, it makes it harder for those defenders to kind of get their hands up and bat down your passes there. But they're almost expecting it at that point. What frustrates me, and I was making it a point of emphasis to watch this yesterday as the game was going on through 3 quarters and even in the 4th quarter. I got my binoculars. The Broncos will run a play here on first down. I'm watching. Okay, so then the play clock resets right after. As soon as the play's finished, the play clock starts ticking down. It is until about 20, maybe sometimes even 19 seconds where the next personnel grouping, as Sean is subbing, those guys are running onto the field from the sideline with 20 seconds left, going into the huddle. And then you get a lengthy play call from Sean. And by the time Bo is lining up and he's trying to read the defense, there's 7 to 8 seconds left. That happened so consistently in this game on Sunday. To me, it's how can Bo sit there and read a coverage and be able to open things up there when you are getting your personnel guys in late? And the Giants' defensive game plan was great. They knew coming into this matchup, hey, we know based on what personnel's coming in, we know exactly what we're going to focus on. And they took that away. They took away Sutton early on in this game. That was their emphasis. We're going to just bracket, keep guys inside and over the top of him. That is where things are just the offense is so predictable, Rachel. And defenses, if we're seeing it, look, defenses are certainly picking up on it. And we've seen that so far through 3 straight weeks.
The fact that the first drive of the game for the Broncos involved 3 passes right off the bat. I'm like, what are we doing here again? Establish the run early. You and I, we preach this every single week. Start to establish the run. JK can do really good things when he gets in rhythm, but if he doesn't get in rhythm, we're not seeing the success. It's frustrating. We're never going to see a change. So I feel like we all need to adjust to it a little bit. How we do that, I don't know, but things need to be more comfortable for this offense. But also, Cody, I don't know if you felt this way. There were some really easy catches for some of those guys to make, and yet it felt like they just couldn't make them. Again, that goes back to the energy. You're seeing some of the same exact plays in the 4th quarter where all of a sudden guys are laying out for him and catching him. And I'm like, where was this in the 1st quarter at the exact same time? My question is, though, let's go to defense real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The fact that the Broncos are getting burned on long plays constantly, that was it yesterday. It was 13 yards, 14 yards, 27 yards, 44 yards, whatever it was, they were continuously getting burned. I'm a little concerned with that because now it's been multiple times that we've seen the secondary or the linebackers get burned. And I'm like, okay, how do we assess this? How do we fix this? Because this Dallas Cowboys team, they're able to put up some numbers. So I'm like, well, what's going to happen this week?
That's a concern. It's a valid one. But I mean, also at the same time, the reason we're seeing that is because the Broncos defense, as we know, is ultra aggressive. And with that comes, kind of playing with fire mentality a little bit. We're going to be ultra aggressive, but if it doesn't get home, it puts us at risk of giving up an explosive play. And Denver gave up too many explosive plays. There were also a couple of times where they just simply couldn't tackle Cam Scattaboo on the outside. You had a couple of busted coverages. I mean, they made the tight end look like prime Rob Gronkowski back in the day with just how open he was getting. I just think that the communication stuff too, we saw a lot of communication issues lead to some breakdowns here. It was a rough game for the defense, but I'm glad they buckled down and played big when it mattered. But you can't against an explosive offense like Dallas, which we'll certainly preview throughout the week here on the Orange Crush podcast. You can't make those same mistakes against them because they got CeeDee Lamb. They obviously have George Pickens, who very, very good here with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's playing very good football right now. He's not turning the football over. Javonte Williams is finding new life in Dallas. Like this is, I look at all these issues we've seen happen with Denver over the course of the last 3 weeks defensively. It's like something has to change there, but you also don't want to ask them to not be aggressive because Rachel, this is their bread and butter. This is who they are. Their aggressiveness is a big reason the Broncos are sitting at 5-2 at this point. Yeah, you're going to get burnt sometimes, but it's like it's the ultimate roll of the dice, and it's tough. What was your thought? What was your thoughts on the Sean Payton penalty? Riley Moss getting called for PI. That was, in my opinion, one of the most egregious moments I've seen in an NFL game from an officiating standpoint. Not to blame officiating, but it was bad in particular yesterday.
So they showed it in real slow-mo, essentially, and it was probably 2 seconds, but like he did have his hands on him and he did affect his arm movement. So that was really frustrating, but it's one of those like this is such a big moment. The officials can't be the reason, this game changes so drastically. I love actually that Sean Payton came out there. Like you have to obviously be smart, but I think you do have to fight for your guys. And Sean was not happy, and all of a sudden things are changing. So
it was such a late call though. Like the guy on the sideline right next to it was watching them fight the whole way, didn't throw the flag. Signaled incomplete.
Okay, think if you were in their position all of a sudden, you realize how big of a moment this is. Do you want to be the reason? But if you identify it as pass interference, don't you feel like there is a certain point where you're like, okay, I have to call it? Like there has to be some sort, they're human, right? Like I always get mad when people blame officials because I'm like, we're all human. Yes, it could be a bad call, but I make bad calls, right?
It's been bad all across the NFL this year, not just like in this game. Once again, we watch the primetime games. Officiating nobody wants to tune into the NFL to see all these yellow flags on the field. Denver was penalized a lot. The Giants had 7 first downs off of penalties by Denver in this game. That's crazy there. But like on the pass interference, I just don't agree with the call because it's an underthrown pass. Riley's getting in phase. People tend to forget, and I think this is like the moment. Riley has just as much right to that football as the wide receiver, and the wide receiver is trying to climb over Riley. We saw Troy Franklin get called for a really bad offensive pass interference last week against the Jets, and it's like, all right, like, why not let these guys play a little bit? Like in that moment, and where I have the issue is, I have the issue with how late the flag was thrown because the official near the pylon signals incomplete. The guy in the back signals incomplete. And then after 2 seconds after signaling incomplete, he grabs the flag and throws it. So it's like, wait. Like, what happened there? Like, why is that the situation? And that's where Sean was frustrated. In the locker room, the guys were saying a lot of stuff. They're like, they couldn't say it because obviously on the record, they get fined. But, there's some nice choice words for the officiating. It's just, I'd say it's been bad all across the NFL this year.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, too, is we are, anytime there's an underthrown ball like that, you're seeing flags being thrown left and right. Like, we need to really be able to dial it back there because you're just rewarding the quarterback for the underthrown pass, which unfortunately is the opposite of what we have with Bo Nix. He overthrows everybody, and we're not getting any underthrown balls half the time. So that's frustrating because we don't get those
just got a notification here, Rach.
Oh.
The Broncos will be wearing their throwbacks 3 times this season, beginning this week against the Cowboys. That's one of them. Week 10, Thursday night football against the Raiders, so 2 weeks from now. And then their Week 18 game against the Los Angeles Chargers. So 3 times we get to see the throwbacks beginning this week. That's got me feeling nice.
I love the throwback uniforms. I want one so bad. I need to get one. It's just hard, and you probably get it when you're in the media. It's not like you ever wear a jersey. Like, I never wear any Broncos gear anymore. But the throwbacks are the sickest ones. If they could wear them every week, I would love it so much.
I don't wear jerseys, but like there are a couple. It's like if I have to get my hands on a jersey, I'm gonna get one on the throwback. Let me actually show you which one I got.
Oh yes. Also, can we just admire DT in the background right there? It was seriously, there was Mile High Magic there. It was so nice.
This is the on-field.
You're kidding.
On-field one for Surtain.
It's like I
gotta get this framed. I paid $379 for it.
Dude, it's so sick. They're so freaking awesome. I absolutely adore those jerseys. I think they look just, I don't know. Everyone will be talking about them too on Sunday, so that'll be so great. I love them.
They got to be they got to make them the permanent ones in the future. Like when the
Oh.
NFL decides to lax their rules, that's got to be the permanent home one.
I'm begging for that to happen. Also, have I told you my rants about jerseys? I got destroyed on social media the other day because I posted this. It is my biggest pet peeve when people do or wear jerseys not on game day. Like, I get so frustrated with people. And I had just said like gear on my social media post. I said gear, so that really set off Broncos country. They were like, "We wear Broncos gear," but I'm like, no. In my in the bottom part of it where I type words, what is that called? Caption. I said specifically jerseys. Like that's what really irks me. I got destroyed on social media. People being like, "You're not a true fan. You didn't grow up here. You're not blah 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 blah." But I'm like, it bothered. Like jerseys are sacred. They are only to be worn on game days. I'm sorry.
I do feel like that is the case, unless I think there's like this style. Like for example, if it's retro, like I feel like a basketball jersey is probably more better to wear on a day to day, like on a as a style thing. Like,
but they also wear or they play 4 games in a week sometimes. So like wear it whichever day you want. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So like Sundays are reserved for Broncos jerseys.
All right. Well, let's open it up. Broncos country. How do you feel about that? Make sure you drop your thoughts here below. I want to give a shout out to Ryan Blackburn, our good friend Ryan Blackburn here.
Great dude.
We all know Ryan is the architect behind the reverse jinx.
Yeah.
And yesterday during the game, as things were just going diabolically bad for the Broncos, I tweeted to Ryan. I said, "Hey, Ryan, can we get a reverse jinx?" He quote tweeted it and he said, "The Broncos are cooked. There's absolutely no way they come back. They have no juice." And it worked. So shout out to Ryan Blackburn.
He is so funny. If you guys do not follow him for all of his coverage, hysterical human being, always so kind. I did not know about the reverse jinx, but that's actually hilarious to me. Yesterday's game was just so all over the place. Trying to even keep up with social media was like my mentions and my feed are just going absolutely crazy. I feel like there's so much I haven't even had time to digest and dive into. Have you done your film study for this week yet?
I'm in the middle of it right now. I mean, I've watched the all 22, and now it's like I'm at the point where I'm grabbing a couple of clips. I usually do 2 a week. I think I'm just gonna have to do one where I look at like the fourth quarter, like some of the big plays, obviously the scoring plays, Sternad's interception. I think we're gonna have to look at Bo's throw to Marvin and to Cortland, and those are the ones I'll probably have to break down. But it's like it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. And Rachel, there's so many people like, like this is why you never lose faith. Like, okay, like I understand that. I'm a reporter though. Like I'm not, my job is not to be a fan. My job is to be a reporter. I'm live tweeting as things are going on. Like it was bad through 3 quarters that we were talking about. And they're like, this is why I'm like, dude, are we not allowed to live tweet anymore? Like our reactions as we're watching the game, like that to me is so frustrating. I don't think there's anybody that truly thought down 26-8 with 5 minutes left in this game, Denver was going to come back. Like, I don't think that anyone truly believed that. Like, to me, the idea that you did is a little is wild to me.
You're a liar if you did think that. After what you saw from the offense for the first 3 quarters, you are just lying to yourself and to everybody else, and there's 0% chance. Nobody looked at that scoreline and thought, oh, yeah, the Broncos are going to win this game. Like
Pastor 10 even said, I'm not going to lie, I lost hope.
Yeah, I don't blame him. And I love that he's honest about that, right? He could totally have gotten up there and been like, yeah, whatever. No, Bo was saying that he was thinking about how he was going to answer questions if the Broncos got shut out. Like, there was just no way. But it's one of the perks of playing here in the Mile High City is the Giants probably also just got tired. Like, in that fourth quarter, it is hard to play here in the altitude. Things got busted. You got a young team. I do got to give it to them, though. Giants, New York fans, you got a good team on your hands. Like, It sucks that things didn't go your way, but the future is bright with those two, especially.
Yeah, no, I think that they are in a position, and Sean made something interesting. He made an interesting comment after the game about Jackson. He's like, obviously, there's a lot of energy. He said, I know, obviously, the Mara family who owns the team and whatnot. So I was hoping they were going to make that change to him a little bit after our game here. So once again, kind of perceiving that it's like him taking a shot at Russ a little bit, which is interesting, so to speak. And I get that those two don't like each other, but I was like, Sean, do you really got to do that to Russ? Like, do you got to bury Russ like that? I don't know. Like, Sean, it was weird. Rachel, here's also the other thing. And all the times that we've covered the Broncos and we've gone in the locker room, have you ever seen Sean Payton in the locker room?
No.
He came into the locker room clapping once we got in, came into the locker room
No
and
way.
dapping guys up. And I was like, I get the comeback was great. It's like, Sean, why are you doing that now? Like, why can't you do this normally on a week-to-week basis? But
Well,
like,
especially after his press conference too, because he wasn't exactly happy post game.
no, no,
Like that's really surprising.
I don't know. I found it to be a little interesting, but it's like, and I don't want it to ever come across like that. I don't like. I like Sean Payton as a human being. I like him as a coach. I just think that Sean also gets in his own way sometimes, and it's like I think it's part of our job as a media to be able to call that out sometimes, or at least it's just our opinion. Look, Sean has forgotten more football than I'll ever know in my life. Look, I know a lot about the game. I'll never know as much as Sean Payton.
No.
And Sean has rhymes and reasons for doing things, but I think it's well within our rights to be able to question that at times.
It's one of the hardest parts about being a media member here in Denver is there are so many diehard fans, right? And you and I both, like, we grew up watching the Broncos. Like, trust me, I was a diehard fan. I remember crying on certain Sundays because the Broncos lost the game. But you have to, the second you become a media member, things drastically change for how
Yes.
you have to view this game. Like, we're no longer fans. And so I do hate when people are like, well, you're so critical of Sean Payton or you're so critical of this and this and this. And I'm like, well, that's my job. That's what I have to do is be critical. That's why I love celebrating this win. It's amazing. But there
Yeah.
are so many more like problems that this team has because you want them to be successful. But another thing I realized yesterday is some of the people that were close, like are closest to this team, they had some orange and blue glasses on going into the game where they were like, I think the Broncos are going to slaughter the Giants. And I was like, after watching what the Giants have done the past couple of weeks, you think this team is going to slaughter them? I was like,
You and I said it on the pod last week, saying that we were more worried about this game than we were the Broncos going into to London to face the Jets. Like
100%.
our biggest concern was with this matchup specifically, and
Yes.
gosh, the Giants. I mean, they had a tough game plan, and they just once they got up 13-0. I mean, 13-0, Rachel, even felt like a death sentence. It felt like impossible to claw out of, just in how the flow of the game was going here. And look, we're happy, we're excited that the Broncos won, because when Denver wins and they're good, it's great for us. It makes our lives easier, because when a team loses, and certainly this is for every team around the NFL, when teams are losing, like the media covering those teams, their lives are miserable because
Yeah.
everything is negative, everything is toxic. Their interactions with the fans are miserable. It's negative. Like
Yeah.
there's so many concerns still with this team. And I said this after the game outside the stadium for Mile High Sports. I did a little post shoot,
Mm-hmm.
and I just said, I was like, this Broncos team offensively, and I don't even say at times defensively, they are not yet playing their best football. And if they can find a way to squeeze the milk out of the almond to be able to do that, this team is going to be scary. And the fact that they're sitting right now top of the AFC West is nice, but Kansas City's coming. Kansas City is right behind them. They're getting in a groove. They're in a rhythm right now. They're looking scary. That's why Denver has to take advantage of them right now, having this chance to beat the Cowboys, having a chance to beat the Houston Texans the week after, and then a matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are terrible. If Denver wins these next 3 games, they will be 8-2, Rachel, setting up that matchup, that first matchup against Kansas City. That's why I think there's such an urgency for them to get right.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really scary to kind of think about how many struggles we've seen, but they are 2 field goals away from being undefeated. Like, think about that. The fact that we just had 2 just like heartbreaking field goals go against the Broncos in the last second of the game. Otherwise, they would be an undefeated football team, the only one in the NFL. It's crazy. But now, as I look ahead, I'm worried about this Cowboys team. Uh, their offense is rolling right now. How many
Yeah.
points is too many points for the Broncos to be able to overcome? Such a what's the word I'm looking for?
Deficit.
Thank you. We're tired. Okay, this is. I feel like I've been like spinning. My mind is just spinning over that game on Sunday. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's too big of a deficit for the Broncos offense to overcome?
I think 19.
Okay, fair.
19 definitely is the number here at this point. I just
Disgusting.
the challenge though is like you just don't want to find yourself in that situation. Like they've come back 3 straight weeks in a row, Rach.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable throughout the rest of the season. And certainly if you want to get to the playoffs, you can't do this in the playoffs. You simply can't. You're going to get bounced. And you want to go further in the playoffs. So I just hope that they can find a way to rectify these issues on offense. I'm not worried about the defense. And, I was excited to see Dre Greenlaw back. I think we need to have some conversations on our next episode on Thursday. Broncos country, send in your mailbag questions to Rachel and I. I think we have to have a conversation about when Dre Greenlaw is able to play fully without a pitch count, what that linebacker room should look like.
Bye-bye to a certain somebody. I think it's time. Sorry. Bye-bye.
So much to be discussed. And like I said, I feel like it's a good problem to have right now, but can they fix the offense? If they can, good things are in store for this team.
Go back to the basics. That's all I'm gonna say. Yes, send our mailbag questions to us on Thursday. We need to make sure we remember that because yeah, I'm saying
I forgot to tweet it out last week. Last week was crazy.
Oh my gosh, it's just insane. But we're having so much fun here on the Orange Crush podcast. We are having fun with all of you guys on social media as well. So please keep them coming. Not too many detours this week from myself, but still, there's so much to talk about as the Broncos now sit at 5-2. What are we at? 5-2.
Yep.
5-2. That's crazy. I can't believe that.
It's a good spot to be in.
Offense has looked. It's 5-2 for this Denver Broncos team, but they got to keep it rolling for sure. This is a big game against the Cowboys. I am very nervous about it. We'll talk about it more on Thursday. Cody, always a pleasure, my friend. I appreciate you.
Always, Rachel. See you next time.